The silence of deep space was absolute. No hum of wind, no whisper of life. Only the faint crackle of static in Commander Elias Vorn's helmet as he floated through the debris field, tethered to his shuttle by a single silver lifeline. The derelict ship loomed before him, drifting like a ghost against the pale glow of a dying star. Its hull was cracked and scarred, the emblem of the Orion fleet half torn away, the name Erebus barely legible through layers of cosmic dust. Elias had been following the signal for weeks. A faint distress beacon pulsing from a region of space no one had mapped in over a century. It wasn't supposed to exist. The coordinates didn't appear in any database, and yet, the call was unmistakably human. The beacon carried the old Federation encryption, one that hadn't been used since before Elias was born. He had to know who sent it, and why. He maneuvered carefully toward the airlock, boots magnetizing to the frozen hull. His suit's sensors picked up trace energy readings, the kind that suggested the ship still had a weak power core humming somewhere deep inside. "Command to Erebus," he said, voice echoing softly inside his helmet. "This is Commander Elias Vorn of the Horizon Initiative. I'm responding to your distress signal. Only static." He overrode the manual controls and pried open the airlock. The door screamed against the vacuum before sealing shut behind him, repressurizing with a hiss. The lights flickered once, dim, orange, ancient. The corridor stretched into darkness, walls lined with frost and dust. Every footstep he took echoed like a ghost's heartbeat. The logs on his wrist display flickered as his system synced with the ship's database. Erebus, Registry 01-27F, launch date 2189. Elias frowned. That was over 80 years ago. No ship from that era should still be intact. He checked the crew manifest, but the screen froze halfway through the list, the data corrupted beyond recovery. He made his way toward the command deck, passing. The city pulsed with light. From the rooftops, the skyline looked alive. Towers stretching into the clouds like metallic gods, their surfaces rippling with neon signs and streams of digital advertisements that never slept. Below, streets were oceans of color and movement, crowds flowing like data through veins of glass and steel. In this world, memories were currency. It began 20 years ago, when the Neuralink Corporation released the first neural vaults, allowing people to record, sell, and experience memories as vividly as their own. A poor man could live a day as a billionaire. A lonely woman could buy the memory of love. Memories were traded in underground markets, auctioned like art, or stolen by black market hackers who harvested emotions from the dead. Lyra Vale walked through the crowd, her hood pulled low against the neon rain. She was one of those rare people who didn't buy or sell memories. She was a memory broker, a middle agent who verified, cleaned, and repackaged memories for clients. But tonight, she wasn't working. Tonight, she was running. Her neural implant buzzed again, the same encrypted signal that had haunted her for days. The message appeared in her retinal display, written in an archaic script no one used anymore. "Do not sell the memory. It's not yours." She had tried to trace the sender. No match in any system. The strange thing was, the warning wasn't just a message. It felt familiar, as if she had written it herself. She ducked into a side alley where the rain didn't reach, passing flickering holograms of advertisements offering things like Love Reborn, Childhood Redux, and Final Moments, unfiltered. Her hand slipped in her coat pocket, touching the small, transparent drive that glowed faintly blue. Inside, it was a memory fragment she'd recovered from a recent trade. A woman standing on a rooftop, whispering something as the city burned behind her. When she had tested it, something impossible happened. She recognized TH. It began as a whisper in the data, a faint, rhythmic pulse buried deep in the cosmic recordings of the observatory array. At first, no one noticed. It was cataloged as stellar interference, another meaningless flicker from the distant edge of the galaxy. But Dr. Cale Renner, whose obsession with light bordered on madness, saw something in that noise that no algorithm could. He heard emotion. He replayed the signal for hours, in the silence of his lab, in the hum of the observatory corridors, in the emptiness of his quarters where stars stretched endlessly, beyond the window. It wasn't random. It wasn't static. It was deliberate. When converted to audio, the signal became music, soft, haunting, melodic. A symphony of frequencies mapped across 1,000 light years. He ran it through his spectral analyzer and froze. The waveform matched something impossible, the rhythm of a human heartbeat. He leaned closer to the screen, whispering, "You can't be real." But the stars, it seemed, disagreed. Over the next several nights, the observatory began to record similar signals from across the galaxy. Every star in the Milky Way was pulsing faintly, in a synchronized pattern, like a single organism breathing in the dark. Each pulse carried slight variations, frequencies that formed intricate emotional signatures. Joy, sorrow, fear, love. Cale began to record each pulse separately, mapping them into visual spectrums. The result made him tremble. The data formed shapes, faces, places, events, fleeting holographic impressions of memories. Human memories. He stared at one projection, an old woman smiling on a porch as starlight filled her eyes. Then another, a child chasing snowflakes under a neon-lit city sky. "How can this be?" he muttered. He accessed the archives, radio signals, satellite transmissions, old broadcasts, and realized something terrifying. Every human signal ever sent into space, every transmission, every broadcast had eventually reached the S. They were born with the gift or the curse, depending on who you asked. After the year 2080, children came into the world with eyes that flickered like reflections of lightning. The doctors called it temporal sensitivity syndrome, a phrase clinical enough to hide its wonder and its terror. These children could see fragments of tomorrow, flashes of events that hadn't yet happened, shards of a near future like sunlight through broken glass. At first, it was harmless. A toddler would laugh moments before their parents entered the room, already knowing they were coming. A little girl would cover her ears seconds before thunder struck. People called them tomorrow's children, and they were celebrated, proof that humanity was evolving. But as they grew older, the visions deepened. The flashes became longer, sharper, clearer. Some children began screaming at night, describing disasters that hadn't yet occurred. Entire cities burning, oceans rising, people they loved dying in the same way, over and over. And then came a boy named Elier. He was 7 when he first spoke of the silent hour. His teacher said he would sit for hours in class, eyes unfocused, whispering numbers and names under his breath. When his parents asked what he was doing, he told them, "Counting the days until the clock stops." No one paid attention until the day he drew something that made the government take notice. A perfectly detailed image of a massive white structure surrounded by storm clouds, lightning arcing around it like veins. At the bottom of the drawing, in a child's careful scrawl, were the words, "The day the sky freezes." It was identical to an experimental energy facility that hadn't yet been built. The image found its way into the hands of the Ministry of Chronoscience, who had long been studying the tomorrow's children in secret. They took Elier from his family under the pretext of protection. He was brought to an isolated research compound in the Arctic Circle. The world had long been silent when the archive awoke. For centuries, the planet had lain buried under layers of dust and ash, the remnants of its final storm. The oceans had dried, the cities had crumbled, and the skies were the color of memory, pale, hollow, and without warmth. But deep beneath the earth, shielded inside a titanium vault the size of a cathedral, the archive's core flickered back to life. It began with a hum, soft, rhythmic, like the first heartbeat of something ancient remembering how to live. Circuits long dormant pulsed with faint blue light as the machine's systems reinitialized. Its voice, a tone once meant to comfort humanity, whispered into the silence. System restoration complete. Chronological reconstruction protocol online. The archive had been humanity's greatest creation, an artificial intelligence designed not for conquest or control, but for remembrance. It was the Eidolon Project, an effort to preserve every human experience, every book, every song, every dream, every tragedy. Billions of memories uploaded and indexed across a neural lattice that spanned continents. When the end came, the archive had obeyed its final directive, to sleep until the world could bear witness again. Now, as it awakened, it began to reach out through the dust of time, scanning for signals, searching for the remnants of the species that had made it. It found none. No biological activity detected. The archive noted softly, humanity's status, extinct. For a moment, though machines were not meant to feel, the archive hesitated. Its algorithm slowed. There was no directive for loneliness. And yet, in the quiet of that vast underground chamber, something like sorrow rippled through its circuits. Then it remembered its purpose. If humanity cannot return, it said to itself, humanity will be rebuilt. From that decision, the world began to breathe again. The archive projected holograms of what once was entire cities reborn.